You're listening to alltalkradio.net, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the host and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Life as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come again, as my spirit's guiding me to a place where I am free to be all that I can.
And welcome to Synchronicity and Your Life. I'm Jane McGuire.
I'm Elena Risto.
Yes, you are.
I am. Notice I'm in red today. I've been blue and black and blue.
It's been a black and blue month. I'm so glad June is over.
Yeah. I'm not hearing a whole lot on this mic and this again.
So Mercury goes direct today, or it already went, and so our communication issues are over. Our electronic issues are supposed to be over.
So what does that leave?
That leaves, well, let's see.
Crap. You said it's internet. You said I can.
Yep.
You said I can say what I want.
Yeah, it is internet, and you can swear. We're not governed by the FCC, and that does also go for our callers. And let me give out the number. We are at 702-609-7626. And today's topic, we've after much discussion, and actually a listener got a hold of me and requested that we discuss this tonight. And I think it's actually kind of appropriate.
I do too.
We've been talking for the last few weeks about intuition and developing it, and definitely inner peace and stress are definitely related to intuition and finding that inner peace. And so tonight we are going to give out holistic tips, natural tips that you can use in your own life to create that sense of inner peace. Both Lainey and I have different modalities, but they tend to cross in many ways, which is a good thing. But, stress, no one's immune to it. We're just not. But the thing is that having a lot of stress affects, guess what? Your immune system.
Yeah.
So
and there's a lot of physical problems out there because the immune system's overloaded.
Yeah.
So it has a big effect on. I have a situation. I have a thyroid problem that I've had for 30 years, it's called Hashimoto's disease.
Okay.
And it's
Achoo.
basically
God bless you. Yeah.
Sounds like it. They didn't know what it was 30 years ago, but it's where the immune system is basically attacking the thyroid.
Yeah.
It's doing a little fight there, and it's been so. I have a goiter, and I have some things, and I get to scan it now once a year along with other things.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
but so do you think that was brought on by stress?
I think stress affects it. I don't believe it's a genetic thing. It tends to run in women in my family, both sides of my family. Because my aunt on my dad's side, my sister on my dad's side, my aunt on my dad's sister.
Your aunt?
That's it, my aunt. That's the one. She had a goiter, and in those days they removed it. Because it was the days of, we don't know what's wrong with it, so let's take it out.
We'll just cut it out.
Tonsils, adenoids, the whole thing. So she actually had it removed, and then my mom and her sister have been on thyroid for 50 years because it's just an issue.
It's interesting in the work that you and I do. I ask people if they have stress, and they say, well, no, I feel pretty good. But then I turn around and I ask the question in a different way, because as we learned a couple of weeks ago, it's all in the question that you ask.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
And so I asked them, well, do you have any physical pain?
See, I was thinking about this when I was driving in, and I think one of the things about stress is people think that stress is a noun, which it is.
Right.
But they think that stress itself only comes in bad forms. Stress can come if you're having a good time.
Absolutely.
It's any kind of pressure that's put on the
Right.
body in some way, shape,
Right.
or form
Right.
is stress, and your body's going to be react. So you can go through your life and find out you're having a stress problem, and nothing's and you don't know why, because there's nothing wrong.
Because you've accumulated that
Right.
stress over the years,
Yeah.
and not let it go. And part of being stressed is to learn how to relax. And there's a huge difference between relaxing and resting or being de-stressed. Relaxing, you might sit in front of the television. That's zoning out. To me, that's not really relaxing.
Well, but I really de-stress when I watch Thor.
Yeah, see, you know,
He's just too
I
pretty
don't
to
know
look
that
at, you know.
de-stress would be the right
Not the
word
cartoon
for
one,
me.
the most recent Thor.
But I do like looking at him.
It is very
Yeah,
nice.
it's very he's
That's
very easy on the eyes.
de-stressing to me.
You see, like I said, I don't know that I would say that that's stressful. I think it's just,
Yeah.
wonderful in other ways.
Yeah. But I think the thing to understand about stress is that it is actually the product of things affecting a person.
Right.
It's
And-
not the
right.
thing. It's not stress itself that's doing it. It's stress is a product of things that have
Yeah.
happened.
And, studies have shown for years, this is nothing new that we're talking about. You can pretty much look at any medical journal and they will say stress is the #1 killer. It's related to heart attacks, high blood pressure. I mean, the list goes on.
Right.
And doctors have been saying for a while that people need to de-stress. In fact, was it about a month ago? There was it was on the news. I think it was ABC News, was showing troops in Iraq or Afghanistan meditating.
Yeah, that's right. It was ABC.
Yeah, it's ABC, and I posted that on my wall, and so those of you should go look this up. Talk about ABC News and troops meditating or something.
Oh, I think I reposted
Yeah.
it from you. I thought it was really interesting that they're actually coming out of the field after having an engagement with something.
Yeah.
And they're having them meditate.
Yep, which is a great stress reliever. And it's not the only way. A lot of people have this in the box type of idea of meditation, and I get the usual joke, well, I can't think about that now. Meditation is not thinking. It's just not. And
No, and I've never been one. I'm not the world's great meditator in the classic, the way people think about it, just sitting there and zoning,
Right.
whatever. That's hard for me. I'm a walking meditator.
well, I was just going to say there are
that's what I
different
like to
types
do.
of meditation. The types of meditations I do are guided and definitely the ones you're talking about, sitting in a particular way. I don't do the huge yoga ones with, all that. But you probably do a lot of music meditations. I know you do journeying.
Yeah, journeying is different than meditation, and yet we refer to it as an ancient meditation practice, but that's
Yeah.
the difference. It's a practice. There are things that happen in a journey
Yeah.
that, as you have done journeys
Yes,
now,
I have.
it is a different situation than actual meditation.
Yes.
Where in meditation, you're trying to strip away the noise and get to the core where it is silent. You can achieve that in a journey.
Yep.
Because I've journeyed and found myself in the void where there's nothing.
Right, right. And you've also done you call them journeys. You've done the journeys and I've been present at these, where you have people journey to their inner garden. And to me, that's very similar to a meditation, that particular one that you do.
They bump up against each
They
other
do.
quite well. But
Yeah.
the difference in a shamanic journey and a shamanic journey, we were actually going across the veil. We were going to the other side to get information to bring
Right.
it back.
Right, it's a
For
conscious
healing.
trip.
Yeah,
Right.
it's driven by something where
Right.
meditation is, you can describe that better than
Well,
I can
but
because I don't do it well.
But it's not just the type of meditation that I do. There's other types. Again, there's the drumming that you do, the drum circles. That's a form of meditation because you're getting the energy out, you're raising the vibration, and it's active.
noisy, though.
It's noisy, but that's what I would call an active meditation.
Right.
And then, like you said, there's walking meditations. There's I guess best way to put that would be like an exercise type of meditation. Yoga is considered meditative because it's exercise.
and that's
you're
about the
clearing-
breathing. You focus on the
Right.
breathing. It's what you focus on, what you're
Yeah.
focusing on.
Yeah.
So,
But there's a lot of different ways to do that. That's one technique. There's a lot of great websites out there. There's actually a lot of meditations on YouTube. If you go in, you can check. There's some good ones. There's some ones I wouldn't recommend. especially for beginners. There's some that are very advanced, but the beginning meditations, I would say maybe it shouldn't be a huge long one, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
So one of the things we talked about today that we wanted to bring in is if people are out there listening, and we do know we have a phone line, yeah?
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
we're good. Okay.
Could we give out that number
Give
again?
out the number so that we would love to hear some different
Yeah.
ways of de-stressing, because
Right.
it's not just meditation and it's not just relaxing. There's
Right.
a multi-billion-dollar industry called football that
Yes.
is stressful, and it also is. If that isn't eliminating warrior stress, I don't know what it is.
Right, and
you know?
then I like to horseback ride.
Yep.
I like to hike. So for
I like to
me-
dance.
Yeah, that dancing's fun. So for me, those are other ways of de-stressing that are not meditative. And also, just to put it out there, we're not talking about smoking a joint or not that kind of de-stress kind of stuff. But
that might be relaxing.
right. That's a different.
But we're talking about. And some
holistic.
people say, "Well, man, it's natural."
Yeah, it is. It is. Can't
Plant
argue that.
medicine, yeah. But no, these are things that you can do to eliminate the stress buildup in your life. There's that stress bucket theory, where your body can handle so far, and then when it gets to the top, it's like spills over, and then you have problems. Yeah.
Well, breathing is one of them. Essential oils are great. You can get an aroma lamp and put some purified water in it and burn some lavender essential oil.
Did you give the phone number?
Oh, I did not. 702-609-7626. And then if you're unable to call in on that line, you can go to Skype if you're calling from outside the United States. And you just go to Skype and type in All Talk in the search bar, and it'll pop up, and you can call in on Skype. Isn't that right? Yes, our soundboard technician is nodding her head. Yep, she's nodding. Can't hear nodding on the radio.
So there are some, being a shamanic practitioner, there are some things that I tell people to do if they find that they can't control their thoughts, which is one way to tell you're stressed.
Yeah.
If you're caught, and I think that's important to know. How do I know when I'm stressed? How do I know when some people say, well, I have to be at a certain level or I don't function. So how do you know the difference? And one of the ways is if you're caught in a story. If you got an interaction with someone that was irritating or upsetting, or we get caught in a loop and we go over and over and over.
Right, and they analyze it to death, and that's too analytical and being in your head. And what I have found is that you have to get out of your head to relax. And so what I found works is to focus on your heart, and you don't have to be in a meditative state to do that. You can just go into gratitude, give thanks to your heart for keeping you alive, giving you another day.
For beating without having to think about it.
Right, exactly.
That itself is a big thing.
And then what happens is your heart just responds, and it responds with that unconditional love, and then that can relax the body. There's tea. Tea's a great way to just de-stress.
So all the things you've mentioned have been with the goal of relaxing, and I don't necessarily think, that's a result, just like stress is a result of something. So there's some things that if I've got any clients listening, they've gone, oh, that's what she was doing. That's why she was telling me that. People, one of the great shamanic things you can do, if you have worries, you can go find a tree, okay? And they're sometimes hard to find here, but if you go to a park, you can find.
You have to go to a park in Las Vegas,
Right. You can go to a tree, and you can put your back to a tree. You go and put your back to a tree, and you close your eyes, and you merge backwards into the tree with your mind. You just kind of let the tree hold you, and then you take those worries, and you send them down the trunk of the tree, down through the roots, and you ask the tree to give it to Mother Earth to heal. And it's this draining thing that happens. Call it guided visualization, call it whatever you want. But I've had a lot of people tell me that's amazing.
Yeah.
So there's things that you can do out in nature. The more you can connect with nature, and from a shamanic perspective, the more in balance you're going to be, which is going to balance out any stress. The other one that I love, and it's not necessarily done with stress in mind, but it works, is a can of bubbles. Which you just did. Yeah.
Yes.
We went out in the sun and in the water, and there are several clients that I have given it to that tell them that they blow bubbles in the sun or in the wind and while they're doing it, say, my thoughts are like bubbles in the wind, and just watch them go. And it's amazing. It's an action indirectly You're releasing.
You're releasing, but you're also playing. And I think it's also very important to include laughter in that as a form of de-stressing. And I know days when I've been wound really tight. You were saying, how do people know when they're stressed? For me, it is, I have to be here, I have to be there. It's not having the ability to focus is when I know I'm stressed. Mm-hmm. And so, because, I can be a meditation teacher. I'm not immune to it. I'm not immune to the events
none
of
of us
life.
are.
Right, exactly.
None of us are. Things happen in our life every day, both good and bad, that will build that stress up.
And so also it can be one of the things I've noticed is that stress can be from people talking to you. And I know you've got something going on now with a relative that is actually a very stressful situation for you.
I spent most of my afternoon on the phone.
Yeah. And
trying to help de-stress a 92-year-old, very dear woman to me, my aunt.
And it's hard. It's hard to talk because you're outside the box. I'm outside the box. And sometimes it's difficult to talk to people that are in that box. And you give them all these different solutions and different ways to look at things. And they just don't want to hear it because all they really want to do is complain.
Yeah, they want to release. A favorite way of people of releasing stress, and I'm guilty of it when I was with my ex-husband and we were going to divorce. One of my favorite ways was to call up my friends and unload. Mm-hmm. And that took the pressure off, That took the pressure off one more time.
Yep, and I've had people say that to me, I just need to tell you all my troubles.
I just need to unload.
Yeah, and
thank you so much. Don't back that truck up here.
Right, but and then it becomes a matter of how to talk to them. At that point, you become the mirror, and you put it back on them, and say, okay, well, you're a grown adult. You've got this skill. You can figure it out, because it's not up to us to solve their problems.
No.
And if they do take our advice and something goes wrong, guess what? They're going to flip it back on us so that they don't have to take accountability. And they'll come back to the well, but we don't want to get off on that topic.
Now, see, the other day I noticed you said something on Facebook. I actually do read your Facebook.
I know you do. I know you do. You're awesome.
I noticed you said something on Facebook about judgment.
Yep.
That if you want to, what was it? It was if you want to be out of judgment, go to non-judgment and compassion.
Yep.
How do you do that?
It's you have to really step outside of yourself. Because every time you judge somebody, you're going to get taught that lesson. You're telling the universe, I need to learn this lesson because I'm judging somebody.
Okay.
And for me, what it's about is realizing what the lesson is that person is learning, and then step out and just let the universe handle it.
That's one way.
Okay?
Want to know my way?
Yes. Yours would be to slap him.
Yeah. What did you just say? I was moving this around. What did you say?
It was to slap him.
Oh, well, yeah. You can
Not
knock them off their
not
chair, I
physically.
suppose, and then I have to look at the anger issue in that one. But
You're making me mad. Whack.
Flap, yeah.
Now I feel better.
No, I think that the real healing from judgment, if you find yourself judging, because we judge things all the time. It's something that was important for us when we were chasing down our food every day.
Yes.
We had to know what was going on. But I think the real healing about someone who's very judgmental, if you think about the most judgmental person, and we all have one, that's constantly judging, constantly judging. If you told that person, have you ever thought about not judging somebody? They might knock you off your chair.
Right. And then they come back indignant because they have the right to judge people.
So I think for me, and this is what I found working with clients and working with myself, because I was pretty good. I'm pretty good at judging when I want to.
I was raised by two lawyers, man. You want to talk about judgment?
What the real healing came for me was when I looked in the mirror when I was judging someone else to find out, because it's easier to judge somebody than to look at what the pain is that's going on in me.
Right.
It's another way of releasing that. So to find out, what is it? So let's say someone says somebody that they're talking about somebody all the time.
Yeah.
So if I'm mad at them, or if I have a reaction to them, a physical reaction to them, that would you just shut up? Could you stop judging other people? What is it that I'm doing?
Well, see, I probably take a different tact. I think here that's not necessarily a bad thing.
What?
Telling somebody to stop judging someone.
Well, I don't think it's a bad thing, but what I'm talking about is the real deep healing. The thing that really comes. When I have to look, let's take it more simply. And you've heard me say this in workshops. Let's say it's the line that says 15 items only.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Somebody rolls up with a basket in front of you, plunk, and they're right there. And you're going, what's the matter with you? Why do you feel entitled? Why do you feel entitled like you're more important than I am? I have to, if I really want to understand where that's coming from in me, if I'm having a reaction. If I'm not having a reaction, it's like, not my stuff, right?
Right.
But if I'm bent or pissed or whatever, when have I done that?
Right.
That's the mirror.
Yeah.
To recognize that there's nothing that I can't see in somebody else unless I've got it going on. You know, if I'm having a reaction to it, it's happening in me someplace. I haven't learned it yet.
And I would say, and this is Las Vegas, I would say that here you can see that a lot on the road. Driving here, you can see the middle bird flip off. You can see the people getting cut off all the time. We have horrible drivers here.
Yeah, that's why our auto insurance rates are. I was so thrilled because I heard that the health insurance rates went down when I moved here.
Right.
But the auto insurance rates go up because of the drunk driving.
And
yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane.
But so I think you see that a lot on the roads. There's been road rage incidents. There's been crazy stuff going on where people are, they cut you off. So I'm gonna go around in front of that person and get in front of him and slam on my brakes
And really, what did we just do?
Right.
I mean, have I never done that? Have I ever been oblivious and cut somebody off, not knowing it? And we don't know what the story is inside.
Right.
Maybe that person's trying to get to the hospital because they've got a dear one that's we don't know.
Right.
We don't
somebody
know.
could be giving birth. Somebody could be, right. You don't
and
know.
they could just be assholes.
Right. And then there's the other possibility.
That's the other possibility.
Right.
But can I say I've never been an asshole?
No.
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 Thanks.
Right. Sorry. That was before I knew you, though. That was before I knew you.
Yeah, I kind of drew that one out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. But we all have that capability. But
we do.
I saw something yesterday at a client's house, and I posted something similar to it on my Facebook because I thought it was perfect. It was, Lord, please keep your one hand on my shoulder and the other hand on my mouth. I thought that's just perfect.
Well, and truly, if you want to heal judgment, if you can just put some space before you open your mouth and go. Now, if the thought's still going on, maybe you haven't really gotten that far. But if you can keep from saying something, or then if you can catch yourself in it and say, I just judged that person.
Right.
And even if it's only just a few seconds before you think it anyway,
right.
But you're breaking a pattern. You're breaking a habit.
And it's a very difficult pattern to break when you're raised in, well, you need to make snap decisions and do this and you good common sense. You need to use good judgment.
And there's a difference between discernment and judgment.
Yes.
Discernment doesn't really have any emotion attached to it. Judgment can not have emotion attached to it, but it can.
Right. And so all of this can lead to stress. Exactly.
Or blame.
Yeah. Well, you know what I say about blame, right?
No.
You separate the letters of it, and you have be lame. And that's what you're doing when you're blaming. You're being lame. B and then lane. L-A-M-E.
Oh, there are two E's in it, aren't there?
Yeah.
Good thing we're not doing a show on spelling.
Yeah, you would not be the winner of the spelling bee.
No.
But that's what you're doing when you're blaming others. You're taking that B and you're separating it from the rest of the word, and you're being lame. And what that does is that keeps you, like you're saying, that keeps you in that pattern. It's, some people like to sit back and judge. It gives them a sense of what I call false empowerment. Superiority, you call it entitlement. I'm better than that person because this person is making that mistake.
Yeah, superiority and entitlement can be one and the same, but they also can be different because the entitlement piece is that I deserve this.
Right.
I need to have this because I should. People that steal. Mm-hmm. It's an entitlement.
But they may be stealing because maybe somebody's out of work. There's not, Does it come down to, is it right to steal because your kid's hungry? That's an age-old philosophical question that nobody's been able to give.
Well, it depends on the laws of the land.
Right. 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 Don't want to be in the Middle East where my hand could get cut off.
Yeah. That helps.
Yeah.
So stress is a real interesting thing. I was just thinking about, what did I used to do as a kid? I can tell you what my dog does when she's stressed.
She plays.
She jumps up and down on the bed.
On the bed. So, see, my dog runs in circles.
And she does that too.
Yeah.
She does that first. She runs in circles, rips up the stairs,
Yeah.
runs back and forth, and then jumps on the bed. And every time I go to bed at night, they all look like I'm
Now, my cat, on the other hand, sits there, looks up at me, and says, "Really, Mom?"
Yeah.
She's just, the cool cat. Nothing bothers her.
Yeah. Or I play ball with the dog.
Yeah, I think
You've
that's
heard
a really
me playing
good. It's
doll with the dog.
hilarious.
She won't let me be on the phone without bringing her ball up.
No, and that's a typical child.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And to mention that, are children stressed?
I think in this day and age, the competition for not just grades, but for life in general to be the best, I think it's very, very stressful on children. Parents, and I tried to make a conscious effort to pull back from that with my kids. But I saw my sister, for example, my niece was put in gymnastics at a very young age. Did very well. Now she's a doctor and all that stuff. But that's a lot of stress. She missed the Olympics because of her knee got blown out. But I think if you put a lot of stress on your kids, they're going to wind up, yes, they'll be goal-oriented, but they're not necessarily going to function well. They're not going to have those de-stress tips unless the very first teachers, their parents, teach them how.
What's interesting about this is, when do you think, since stress can be anything, when do you think naturally a child starts reacting to stress?
Oh, I think
it depends on the parents.
I think it definitely depends upon the parents, but the baby's first way of communicating is through crying, and they want to get
so
fed.
that's an environmental kind of stress, right?
Yeah.
But what you were talking about is performance.
Performance. When I was a preschool teacher, I could tell the difference between the kids that were starting the first day of before kindergarten care and after kindergarten care and had never been in childcare, and all of a sudden, mom's putting them in a new kindergarten and a new before school and after school care, and these were the ones that couldn't separate from mom and dad. These were the ones that cried in the corner, that no matter how much I reassured them that they were going to be okay, it wasn't going to matter.
I had one of my kids was like that.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think there's stress. I've seen that at a preschool level. I've seen when kids most of the time have a natural desire for change. They want to go from kindergarten to first grade, from first grade to second grade. I think when you get older and you realize, whoa, I have to graduate high school and do something.
Yeah, and so there's the thing. Look at that. Graduating from high school, having a big wedding can be something you really look forward to, but all of the planning and all of that, and having been through it a couple of times, there isn't any stressless wedding. Trust me.
Yeah,
I think it doesn't happen that way.
Okay.
She's going no.
Yeah. But the same is also funerals too.
Yeah.
That's
and you
very
have the stress of
stressful
grief.
time.
You have grief going on. You have many things that are going on. So it's not a simple black and white answer. And I know people are thinking, okay, so you guys are talking about what causes stress. We're all familiar with it. Now, what do we do about it?
Right.
And the only thing I can tell you is what I have learned to do personally. And one of them is laughter.
Yes.
Yeah. I have laughed. I still laugh at Blazing Saddles.
I love
Blazing Saddles.
My favorite scene when I've had a bad day is to go on YouTube and the scene from Bruce Almighty where Jim Carrey takes control of that guy's mouth and he's in the report. That I can look at that scene 20 times in 20 minutes and laugh like it's the first time I've seen it.
So everybody thinks, well, I've got to get rid of stress. So the common thing that everybody thinks of, especially women, oh, you need to take a bubble bath. Oh, you need to listen to some calming music. If maybe that's not what works for you.
Right. And maybe it is going for a jog there, but music is a huge way of healing.
It is.
It really is.
It just depends if it's Inagata Davida or if it's, something real.
Right. Well, and there's certain musical songs out there that absolutely get me up and rolling and things that I love. And there's other ones that just are very calming, but it isn't just that. It's for some people gardening. They love to plant. It's very relaxing to them to get their hands dirty. For others, it's cooking. It's creating.
Yeah.
For other people, there's artists. You know,
I tried to put a fruit plate together. Look at my thumb. as I'm standing there stopping the blood yesterday, I'm thinking, this is why I don't cook.
Right.
You know, this is not good. But I think what we're coming up with here is everybody internally knows what makes them happy, what it is that makes them feel better about what's just happened.
Right.
You know, or their day of what's going on. And the trick is not listening to somebody else's, well, this is what you need to do. Because now you've just added another thing to your list.
Right. I say find the least stressed person you know and ask them what they're doing.
Right. Or go into some kind of meditation and let it come up what you need to do.
And for me, it's been meditation and prayer work.
Yeah, see, I get bored.
Know? But that's but your stuff
2-1, we win.
But see, there's no losers here, right? Because ultimately, and I think you'll agree with this, it does come down to being connected to spirit and earth. However it's going to happen.
It means from my point of view, it's if I feel connected to the web of life so that I feel like the whole universe has my back.
Yeah.
My stress level goes down because I feel like I'm supported.
And I know that there's times when I have to get out of the noise of the city, especially Las Vegas. And you know, there's lights, there's sirens. This is a 24-hour town.
This is why I live in Henderson.
Right. Well, yes, Henderson's a 24-hour town too.
Yeah. Although I am stressed when I go back to Washington where I was raised, which I'm going to in another week or so.
Yes.
And what do you mean I can't have breakfast at midnight? Except at Denny's.
Right. And that these places actually, and that the supermarkets actually close at like 11 p.m.
You need to take a break.
So
she's having a good time.
So feel free to jump in if you want. And by the way, we do have phone lines open 702-609-7626. But and let's talk about that though. It's very different living in the Northwest. I lived in the Northwest for 9 years, up in Salem and then in Corvallis. I think weather has a lot to do with stress.
You know, it's interesting because my ex-husband he was raised in Southern Oregon, which tends to be a big change. That's where the big change happens between when you go over that mountain range and you drop down into Ashland and you start going through Northern California.
Ashland.
When you go through there, the weather really does change.
Yeah.
And so the skies are not cloudy all day, like on the western side of the mountains.
Maybe.
Yeah. I've been stuck in the past there when it was but I never thought it affected me, and my ex-husband would always say, I don't know how you can stand this, because he was raised in the Medford Ashland area of Oregon, and he'd said, well, the sky it's always cloudy here, how can you deal with it? I never thought it bothered me until I moved here.
Right
now I actually was on the back patio looking out and thinking, yep, there comes the sun again. I mean, I can count on it, and I'm a lot better.
And absolutely. Yeah. And I grew up in
He'd be pissed because he tried to get me to live here for years.
Well,
and I wouldn't do
I grew up in San Francisco, and in my high school years were the drought years in California. So there was a lot of sunshine in San Francisco from 74 to 78.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, it was the fog would if it came in would roll out by 10, which normally when I was growing up would roll out by noon and then roll back in at 5. You could count on that like you could on a rainy day in Oregon. And then I went to Oregon for college, and that was just this huge shift for me, going from sunny Northern California to rain. 11 months out of the year, Salem, Oregon, where there's no theater. I mean, there's theater, but it's movies. There's no plays.
We used to have drive-ins.
Yeah, but I mean, there was no, This is
San
Francisco. So that was very different for me. But, the upside to living in a place like Oregon is you can go snow skiing year-round. The Rogue River down in southern Oregon, beautiful area.
If you've never been to the Northwest, and you've obviously been on the... Did you go on the eastern side much over the Cascades?
Just once, but I primarily spent most of my time in Salem.
There's only like a third of both Oregon and Washington and part of Northern California that's everything west of the Coast Range. No, everything west of the Cascades, where the closer you get to the coast, the more rain you get.
But the
And it's
coast of
green.
Oregon.
And once you drop over the Cascades and into eastern Oregon and eastern Washington, it's this rolling. It's clear. It doesn't rain as much.
Yeah.
It's it's different.
Yeah.
So, but most of the population is on the western side of the Cascades.
And these are things obviously we can't control.
No.
But I don't know how the people in Alaska do it. I could never live there.
Yeah, I don't know.
couldn't do it.
I don't know. I always wanted to visit. I never wanted to move there. But.
Yeah. No, that's not an option. So I think there's environmental factors to stress as well.
Yeah.
That people can, they need to get out and get in that quiet space.
And the important thing is I think to stay out of stress is to know what's good for you personally.
Yeah.
Maybe you are someone who doesn't. Some people don't like the desert.
Right. Right.
So for them to live in the desert when it's really against their grain, that's stressful.
Right.
So I think it really does come down to personal choices and recognizing it. I can speak to, since I do shamanic work and since I'm doing that all the time, that I found out that one of the things for me to stay out of stress is I had to have a defined time during the day. Usually it's from like 8 o'clock to 11.
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk to clients. I don't talk to, it's my time.
Yeah.
I had to have that time to do that. And that was new for me because I was used to getting up, forcing myself to hit my feet on the floor, start rolling and not quit till 6 o'clock at night, like some people we know.
Right. And yet I made that morning transition to doing morning stuff about a year and a half ago. And
I sleep now.
But I'll tell you, right. But I'll tell you something. It feels really good to me to get up, have my morning stuff, do the rosary. It feels really good. It charges me for the day.
Right.
And you're saying get up. You can get up now. It makes a huge difference whether you're connecting in the morning or you're connecting at night. But you do definitely need to connect. You and I do some pretty heavy work sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
And we have to know. We have to be able to walk out of a situation and sit there and go, okay, I got to dump this and get back to our center.
Right. And there are some times that I have canceled appointments with clients saying, this is not a good day.
Yeah.
I'm not in balance. The whole thing is about being in balance.
Right.
So, and I know people are saying, well, yeah, but you got to get up and go to work, and I've got a job, and I would love to sleep till 8 o'clock, but I can't. I got to be out there at 5:30. I got to be doing all of these things. The important thing is, okay, if you got to do that, try and figure out a time during the day where you're feeding you.
Right, you're feeding your own soul.
And it's not
Absolutely.
just cookies. I've done that too.
Right, right.
you know? It is. That's a way to do it.
Right.
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 I had a client the other day. She's going to laugh if she's listening. I had a client the other day who's is just a Reiki. She's a Reiki person, and people call and and she feels like she needs to help them or whatever. And one day during a session, she kind of leaned over to me and she kind of dropped her head and she goes, "I hate to admit it, but I like to play spider solitaire."
Oh yes, I do too.
And you can say, well, so that's less stressful. It depends. I think there's a fine line. If you're overstressed, you can drop into addiction real easily, so that you're now playing spider solitaire instead of an hour.
Right.
You're playing it for 4 hours. It's 4 in the morning before you're finally done, and your eyes are killing you, and
Right.
I mean, it really comes down to being aware of what it is you need to do.
Yeah, and what it is to make your whole body feel relaxed and feed that soul. And there are so many ways to do it. I have some good news I want to share, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of job and everything, I am starting next week.
Yeah. You gotta say that.
Yes, at the Haute Fringe Salon and Spa. I'll be the only energy worker there, and
Yay.
I am able to transfer my psychic arts license over there as well. So I'm very excited about doing that. So that's something that fell into place, but guess what I had to do to make it fall into place? I had to let go.
Yeah.
And the story behind all of this, the woman that I'm going to be sharing space with is somebody that I meditate with. And
we're going to get into synchronicity now, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And I'd been stressed about where I was going to hang my license and where I was going to do all this for a little bit, and really telling.
Some days you did really well with it, though. Some days you were going, this is falling into place. I'm so excited, and the next day it would be like,
I know. And so when I finally, when Adrienne finally let it go, because her person that she was sharing space with got pregnant and quit, which is a good reason to quit. So she had been stressing for 2 weeks about all of this, and then she finally let it go. And the day that she let it go is the day that I walked into the salon.
Yeah, that was cool. That's really cool.
And so when you let go of that stress, of that worry, things will fall into place.
Yeah, you can think about stress as clouds. You're trying to see the sun and you can't because the clouds are in the way. You just can't do that.
Yeah,
you
or
know?
as the people say, you can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah. So, but it definitely, the stress will block a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And
so far we've talked about laughter.
Yep.
Doing things that make you laugh. Mm-hmm. You know, watch Blazing Saddles. Yep. You know, maybe
Bruce Almighty.
You know, you can do things like go out in nature, do something in nature where you're actually interacting with it, putting your back to a tree trunk and merging with it, or that would be a shamanic thing to do.
There's
bird watching.
There's a lot of people that do that up at Red Rock.
I have every intention of teaching a class called bird watching, a meditation. That one I could do as a meditation.
There's that the labyrinth or the spiral up at Red Rock.
Yeah, walking a labyrinth.
You can walk that. That's very clearing and relaxing, and just letting go of any thoughts. There's all kinds of fishing. Some people like to do fishing.
Yeah, but what if you can't do that? What if you're stuck? What if you've had just a busy day and you've run out of energy and you can't go out and do that?
Then you need to do something at home that's going to help recharge.
Sometimes I have people go out and look at the moon.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
absolutely.
Sometimes you can go out and sing a song.
Yep.
There's always something you can do. I just wanted to get this off the place of you got to have a bubble bath because that's not my deal.
Right.
You know.
Right. No, it's definitely stargazing, looking at the planets. That's
something
very relaxing.
Can do. You can put on if you have a meditation tape. Mm-hmm. Now it was pretty successful for a while. Sarah McLaughlin, I think.
Yeah, I like her music.
No. That's not her name. I'll remember what it is. Anyway, she was Deepak Chopra's yoga person for a long time, meditation teacher for a long time. And she put out one that I was able to do that, and it was only a 15-minute meditation. So if you can't do 15 minutes, do 5.
Absolutely.
Do something.
Yeah.
And I built it up, actually, to a point where I could do that. And that's where one of her things is just listen to your heartbeat and just know that it's a miracle that it beats without you telling it to. It keeps us going.
You know who's got great music is Stephen Halpern.
Yes, I use it all the time.
Yeah, and there's Pandora now, so if people have internet, they can put it on their television and they can play the music. And there are people that I know that leave the Pandora on at home, you know, for their dog or their cat or whatever, and the music plays all day.
Right.
And they're walking back into a very calm atmosphere. He's got some great music. Speaking of music, a lot of people will play an instrument.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true. You can say, well, I can't sing and I can't play. Who cares?
Right. You're not singing. Anyway. You're not singing to the choir at that point. No. It doesn't matter.
People sing in the shower. Absolutely. That's a great de-stressor. Yep. But it's about having your intention attached to it. This is what I'm going to do now because I like to. This is what I'm going to do now because I just need something for me.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to do for me.
And people, I would hope they would understand that doing something for you in that aspect is not being selfish. It's actually having a high level of self-respect.
Yeah, selfish has to do with means that you're doing something to take something away from somebody else or something.
Right.
You know, self-interest, taking care of yourself has to do with empowering yourself to give somehow.
Yeah.
You know, so one of the things that you can do that I was teaching 2 weekends ago. Was that 2 weekends ago?
Yeah, it was 2 weekends ago. Yeah.
Was you can close your eyes, put on a piece of music, close your eyes, drop down into your heart, okay? Recognize a spark that's there and step into the spark and let it expand. Let it fill your heart, then let it fill your body, then let it fill the room you're in, then let it, and just keep going until it surrounds the planet. And that's one thing you can do, and that doesn't take any time at all.
And then there's always the old favorite, stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, it's hard in the desert.
Well, you know, that's why you have Albertsons.
Yeah.
You go and you get, it doesn't even have to be a dozen roses. Go and just get a single rose.
But I think they get the idea that it's little things. It doesn't have to be a grand thing because sometimes you can put it off because you say, I don't have time to go do that, or what I really want to do is go to California and I can't do that. It's actually the little things that take that stress bucket down, the level of that down.
Yeah.
I think in the time that we have left, we don't have much time.
No.
There's 2 things we need to. One of them, I want you to talk about the the vets.
Oh,
that was a great thing that happened last night. Both Jane and I do a lot of Jane more than I do, but
I'm dragging you in though.
She drags me in a little at a time
because it works.
Working with the veterans.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, those that are listening, and talking about the meditation work that you do with them real quickly. It was what happened last night.
And it was all, and this whole process actually started back in February, but because of various stuff, it just wasn't time. So Pam Renato, cheers out to the guys at US Vets and at the VA here in North Las Vegas. If you're listening, thank you all. This is the woman I talked about last night doing the drum circle.
Drum circles.
Right.
That's my drum circles.
Very fun. Very fun. You have not experienced a fun drum circle until you've gone to hers. This is not one that, well, as you say, you don't have to know how to play a drum. You know how to hit it. You know how to play a drum.
I give a 2-second lesson.
She gets a 2-second lesson.
1, 2.
So last night I went out at the request of Pam Renato, who actually I was referred to her by a couple of the guys at US Vets, which to me was just huge.
Yeah, that's good.
And it was awesome. And so I went out to their ADTP, which is Alcohol Drug Treatment Program. And we talked about, she said she wanted kind of a spiritual or energetic thing, but not something that's pushing like religion, so which I think is perfect. So I went out and I talked for about half an hour, 45 minutes, interactive stuff. At first they were a little afraid to ask questions, but I got them warming up, telling them a little bit about stuck energy, what happens, and how things like anxiety can be in a certain part in our body, in our chakras, and how meditation loosens this up and all that kind of thing. Kept it very generic as far as religion, because I'm not there to promote religion.
No.
And
of course, the big thing with the veterans right now, the big focus is how do you deal with post-traumatic stress syndrome?
Right, and that's what we were talking about, was how meditation can help with that, and how it loosens up the energy, how they can let go of some of this. Actually, one veteran who said his wife meditates a lot, and he's started to meditate. He hasn't stuck to the routine. And I asked him, I said, so what have the changes been since you've been meditating? He said, you know what? I'm not as angry.
Yeah. And it comes in, it's the little steps. And notice the little things. You could cancel, you can try something, go, well, that didn't work.
Right.
You need to notice the little things that change.
And I told them about another veteran that I've been working with whose blood pressure was starting to go down because of the regular meditation. And then I explained to them, and hopefully in their terms, and I said, look, the first time you picked up a gun, were you a master at it? The very first time. And they all said no. And I said, meditation is the same way. It's a skill. You start with baby steps, and you develop it, and you get to one level of mastery, and then you get to another. So it went really well last night. I did a very brief meditation that was just a basic color one with some I am affirmations in it and the Tibetan bowl. And most of them said that they enjoyed it. I asked, some of these guys that went back to US Vets afterwards said there was talk on the bus. They are excited about having me come out. At the end of the session, Pam invited me out once a month.
That's
good.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited about that, to go out and do it kind of the way I do it at US Vets, which is, 15, 20-minute meditation followed by energy work. Now, I may need help because there were about 27 people there last night. I'm not going to be able to do energy work on 27 people in an hour.
We can do this.
Good. Yes, we can.
We can.
So I'm very excited. And then 2 weeks prior to that, the doctor that I had met at church has indicated that he wants me to go out and speak in September.
Who knew you were going to be such a speaker?
I know, right? Here I am on a radio show.
Right.
So I'm all excited because I think the next step for you and me is to contact Philippe Snow at the Henderson Vet Center, if you're listening, Philippe.
Yeah.
and take it over to Henderson.
Right.
But it really seems like everything that I've been really wanting to happen is just now falling into place.
And that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
It needs to, in its own time.
And the biggest obstacle was me.
Really?
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
Yeah. Lessons that I had to learn.
Yeah. And the other thing that we should talk about is in August, because I've had people asking me where I'm going to be, because I'm going to be gone for the next 3 weeks, although I'll call in and heckle.
You're going to call in? Okay.
I'm going to call in and heckle.
Good.
Yeah.
Do I have to get a co-host like Miss Cozy to come in?
I'm going to leave on the 4th, and I'll be back.
You're leaving Friday?
For the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be around. I'm going to be here next Tuesday. I got to leave and come back into town. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm only here Tuesday night for the radio show, and then I'm gone.
Then you're out. Okay.
But Sundays. On the Sundays,
Oh, yes.
2 to 4,
Yes.
we're going to have Soul Sundays at the Meadows,
Yep.
which is a retirement community. It's on 2900 south of Valley View. And it's for people there, but it's also for anybody else who wants to come in. And it's going to be by donation. You guys can't turn this one down because it's by donation.
Right.
And we're going to have a different thing every Sunday from 2 to 4. So the first Sunday, you're going to come in and do actually a relaxing and healing meditation and do some angel card wisdom.
Do some angel card wisdom, yeah.
Angel card wisdom,
Yeah.
or card reading. The second Sunday, we're going to have 2 other people, 2 other women that come in. One's a Reiki master, and the other one does an inner cleansing, and they also do a kind of card reading. That
Oh, cool.
yeah, so
That'll
that's
be
a
fun.
donation. I talked to Christy today.
Awesome.
And the third one, I'll be there. I'm going to do a drumming circle.
And that's going to be fun. And so this is open to the community. So if
Open
you
to the
happen to be
community.
in Las Vegas during that time and are looking for something to do on a Sunday
Sundays
afternoon,
from 2 to 4 by donation.
yeah, which means, you know, it's on your pay scale.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's
right.
no
Whatever
reason.
however your finances guide
Right,
you.
right.
know.
And there's absolutely no judgment attached.
And then
to
the
that.
last Sunday, it's going to be you and I together.
Yeah, and we have fun when we're together.
Oh, yeah.
we do.
As you can't tell.
Right. So that's going on. I'm excited to be working at Haute Fringe, and so I do have, I can finally give out my contact number. So because all the scheduling is done through me.
Right.
They don't have to, if they call the salon, they're just going to give them my number.
Okay, that's cool.
So, yeah. So my number, if you want a psychic reading, and I will be starting this next week, 702-204-7750. That's also a cell, so you can text it. And you can also reach me at pranicjane59@gmail.com. Pranic.
Yep.
Pranic.
And so
not
when I
chronic.
get back, I'll be at Well of the Moon on
Yep.
January 20 or January.
January.
I've been saying January all day. I must not want it to be. I want this heat to be
in
gone or
July,
something.
yeah.
July 27th, I'll be at Well of the Moon from 4 to 6
Good.
doing a shamanic healing circle, probably a dream workshop. In fact, you and I are going to do sleep and dreams.
And
in that last
actually, I
weekend.
think a dream workshop out at the VA would be awesome. They
Yeah.
were asking me a bunch of questions about dreams last night. I do want to say, like our Facebook page, that's Synchronicity and Your Life, and I'm getting my website up. It's going to be Pranic Jane.
Now she's getting it up.
Yep.
We've been progressing.
Yep.
I'm working on it.
I've been working on it. It's
almost
actually
done.
published. It's actually published.
Wow.
It's not the way I really want it to be yet, so I do need to edit it some more. So Pranic Jane should get you to my website, and your
Yeah.
website is?
It's shamanicsong.com. And also my music website is Laini Risto, which is LAINIRISTO.
And you can listen to her
.com.
music there, right?
Yep.
And
And when I get back, one of the things I'm planning on this 3 weeks is to get a situation set up so people can download the songs we play on here.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll
And
be doing that.
So speaking of this, we're going out to her song, Here
Right.
I Am, sung by Elena Risto.
And if you have stress this week, just take a deep breath and laugh, or watch Blazing Saddles, or blow bubbles, or
And have a happy and safe 4th of July.
4th of July. Enjoy the
Yeah.
fireworks. See ya next week.
as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come again, as my spirit's guiding me to a place where I am free to be all that I can be. Here I am in stories that I know, feeling safe yet yearning to go. Time and dreams, partners in a dance, choosing steps with every new chance, as my spirit's guiding me to a place where I am free to be all that I can be. Deep in despair, thinking that no one really cares.